pathetic humans. They're showing a Halloween episode in November.
Not a lot of people know that before I was the smart casual gamer, playing video games and talking about them to an audience of dozens, I was actually a K-pop idol. Please roll with this. I was part of a group called All Hallows Eves, and at this time of year I get a little nostalgic for the girls. Maybe it's finally time. Hey girls! What would you say about getting the band back together for one last tour? For old time's sake? What do you say?
No.
No. Your microphone quality was always so bad.
And don't you talk about computer games online now?
Fine. Let's look at some Flash games instead. Halloween is, or at least used to be, Christmas for the counterculture. And that's because Halloween is just a lot cooler, isn't it? Bats, the undead, sneaking into random gardens, staying up all night eating tiny Mars bars. It's just a lot more fun. It's especially beloved by angsty goth types who listen to Paramore and have more than 4 black tops. No, not me. Something else that counterculture types really liked were Flash games. So when October rolled around, spooky Flash games started popping up like so many Nosferatus. Nosferatuns. Or is it like fish and it's just Nosferatu? I've got 4 different frightful Flash games on this All Hallows Eve, as opposed to horrifying HTML3 games and spooky Silverlight games. So put on your pumpkin heads and grab your nearest bag of tiny Haribo. It's Halloween time. Jump scare! We're starting off with a game that I recently covered in a Smart Casual live stream. However, that stream, as good as it was by my standards, ended with the sound of the game being far too loud. I've since given my microphone a stern talking to. Mario!
Hello!
He's in lots of games. We know this. He's in lots of Flash games. We know this too. And if you thought that Mario is a malleable character in official Nintendo games, being as he is a plumber, adventurer, doctor, carpenter, chef, astronaut who owns a toy factory and a gorilla, and is adept at every sport, when he's being bootlegged in Flash games, Mario's CV expands loads further. He's a Zeppelin pilot. He's a miner. He's a lawyer. And he drives a Halloween truck. Mario Halloween Truck is a game that has nothing at all to do with Mario. He's just there so the developers, Poo-Poo Games, can put his name in the game's title to make it more enticing to impressionable preteens who just needed some more Moustache Man in their lives. You don't even see very much of him. You see more of him in the links to other games on the menu. Here he is with a gun. And even though I've seen Mario with a gun thousands of times, and it's now so common that he's used guns in official games on official Nintendo platforms, I still think that Mario with a gun is quite funny. What he's doing is earning to die, driving forwards and crashing into zombies. As this game could have literally any character in, and quite often does, there's very little Mario flair here. The zombies aren't dry bones, they're just some clip art cartoon zombies. Mario doesn't make any noises, but there are coins and there are mushrooms doing exactly what they do in Mario Kart. Weirdly, the mushroom is the life mushroom from Super Mario Galaxy and not the normal super mushroom. The life mushroom is a bit obscure, so at least the developers didn't just lazily Google Mario mushroom and pick the first image that they saw. The game itself is a little lazy though. It's just a spin on the hill climb racing formula. You drive from left to right, ramping off of hills and hitting zombies. However, instead of an infinite scroll or a small amount of long levels, here we've got 15 short levels. This level select screen is far too intimidating for a game called Mario Halloween Truck. Having a lot of short levels isn't necessarily a problem, but they're basically all the same. And that would have been a bit dull even if the terrain didn't look like an angel cake made of soil. And As you need to upgrade the truck to progress through the game, you'll need to play the same few levels over and over and over again to grind for coins, as the upgrades are really expensive for some reason. And the game doesn't hold back with the difficulty spikes. After beating the first 2 levels in the first try, and beating level 3 after purchasing a single upgrade to the Halloween truck's acceleration, I played level 4 11 times, and I never seemed to get any further. I had to play it 4 or 5 times just to afford a second upgrade, but none of them seemed to make any difference. I got so bored after my 11th attempt at level 6, when none of the upgrades seemed to do anything, that I just gave up there. And when I decompiled the game, I didn't see anything that hinted at there being more interesting levels in my near future. Although I did find this gorilla flying a plane, which I love, and I wish I'd played a game about him instead. I honestly got more enjoyment laughing at the video titles on the official Poo Poo Games YouTube channel, which is just some YouTube kid slop about troll faces and dumb ways to die. Well done for keeping up with the modern trends there, lads. Mario Halloween Truck is not worth playing. The spooky, campy Halloween vibes are cool, but they're not worth driving slowly through the same boggy landscape where the background doesn't move over and over again. Though what were we expecting from a company called Poo Poo Games? Nice company mascot, though. A much better game that I briefly played in the live stream is Halloween. Developed by Tamugaya and released to Newgrounds in October 2007, Halloween is the first game I've talked about on this channel that has a story. It's not a complicated one, but oh my god, it's so nice to finally play a game where I have more to say than there's not much to talk about here, the game just isn't very good. Halloween. When a ball of mysterious eldritch energy descends upon the city, they don't say which city, I like to think it's called something like Flipside City or Neo Kyoto, equally mysterious shadowy figures called the Shadow People emerge at night and threaten to overrun and destroy the world. Once Halloween night passes, they'll be at their strongest, and it's down to Team Halloween, a crack team of 3 hunters with experience battling the supernatural, who really remind me of the big 3 from Final Fantasy VII, to send the shadows packing and save Halloween. This game is probably the most 2000s thing we've seen on this channel so far. Listen to that screeching electric guitar and synth soundtrack. Look at our protagonists, Stevie and Bear. They're both teenagers, but like the Power Rangers or MI9, they have to balance being high schoolers with fighting the forces of evil. Stevie, which is a name only used by people who think that the name Steve is too square, has a red bandana and a steel katana, and looks like someone merged Terry Bogard, Sonny, and the buff guy from Prozac together. He's as sarcastic as hell, and he poses like this, so it's clear to me that this guy's meant to be the cool one. I think he's overcompensating a bit, but seeing a character who unironically embodies all the stereotypes of 2000s cool kid is honestly quite charming. I like Stevie, but I always choose to play as Bear. Looking a bit like Noodle, the teen girl from Gorillaz, Bear is my favourite character to play as. As well as because she's the one girl in the team, she's also got a pair of cool cyberpunk digishades, and, more importantly, a gun. All good Flash game characters have guns. Bear's gun makes the game a fair bit easier. It's less flashy and cool than Stevie with his katana, or the team's designated adult Mark punching ghosts with his bare hands. But since getting close to the enemies is a risk, Bear's ability to hang back makes the game a lot easier and a lot less frustrating, especially when you're fighting the boss that's a giant wall face. The game itself might look pretty simple and sort of early 2000s quaint. The graphics still have that scrappy, hand-drawn look. The interstitial text could have used a spell checker, and there's only 4 levels. But for 2007, having fully animated cutscenes, multiple playable characters, and a story is pretty impressive. And it's made even more impressive when you learn that developer Josh Tamugaya said that the game was quite rushed so that he could hit the deadline for a game jam. He didn't hit it, but he made a great game, so swings and roundabouts. But even though Halloween is definitely a great game that I recommend, please play it, I think it would have been even better as a kids' animated series. The Shadow People are great villains as well. We learn very little about them, we don't know the full extent of their powers. They're a bit like the Mysterons. As well as these guys who look like the Saja boys in their stage outfits, who are a pretty literal interpretation of what a shadow person is, the forces of the Shadow People also include floating blobs of ectoplasm, these spectral guys who scream like the penguins in When Penguins Attack, these neon skeleton dudes, and 3 cool bosses. I'm not going to show off the final boss as I genuinely want you to play this game, so I don't want to spoil all of it. Instead, I'm going to show 2 frames of the final boss now. Although they're pretty loosely defined, I think that allows them to be much more unique than the game just having zombies or vampires in it. Whoever made a revolutionary game about zombies?
Oh, my face!
Yeah. And the Shadow People aren't just a force of nature. The plot of the game sees them outsmarting Team Halloween at one point. They're uncanny and they're cryptic, and that makes them fun in an evil sort of way. And Team Halloween aren't just battling the Shadow People. They talk about zombies and ghosts like experts, so they've clearly had a bunch of previous adventures off screen. I want to see a Team Halloween show. If anyone remembers 3 Delivery, that's the kind of thing I'm thinking of. 3 Delivery, but with the occult. I am so glad to finally cover a straight-up good game that I recommend for reasons other than nostalgic 2000s charm. Okay, a lot of what makes Halloween great is nostalgic 2000s charm, but there's more to it than that. And I really hope that I cover a lot more games like this in the future. Jesus Christ on Crin Labs. Ugh. And here we go, right back into the crap with Putnik the Pumpkin. After the impressive 3D animated Armor Games logo that opened Halloween, loading up Putnik the Pumpkin and seeing some plain white text on an ugly gradient background, a gormless JPEG of the titular Putnik the Pumpkin off to the side, lurking in plain sight. I think I owe another Flash game about pumpkins an apology.
Welcome to Farmer Pumpkin's Barnyard Disco Sing-Along.
Farmer Pumpkin, I'm sorry for saying you're the worst pumpkin game I've ever played. And while I'm here, I'm sorry for stealing your Barnyard Disco sing-along for the Penguin review.
Sheep.
The game itself is barely better than the title screen. I don't even really know what to do. The game says the aim is to save classic monsters and that I can fire pumpkin seeds at dumb.com. What does that mean? When I googled it, it just came up with an archive of old US radio. Do pumpkins hate radio? And the game itself is just boring. All you do is move and shoot. It's got fewer buttons than Gradius and gameplay as simple as Galaga, but without any of the satisfying bleeps, whooshes and exploding aliens that makes Galaga fun. It does have some okay music though. It's a bit repetitive, but it really reminds me of this piece of old Club Penguin music. And anything that reminds me of Club Penguin music can't be all bad. The worst part of the game are the bosses. There's only a few, and they suffer from one major problem. They don't give you any feedback when you hit them. There's no sound, there's no graphic, there's nothing. You only know when you've beaten them, when you've beaten them. I don't like to dismiss Putnik the Pumpkin so quickly, and I don't mean any ill will towards developer Istvan Rossi. I'm sure his other games are better. Okay, maybe they're not, but I don't want to insult the guy. He did make a video game. I couldn't do that. But as Halloween games go, this one's easily skippable. It's really repetitive, and that's just not what you want from a spooky holiday that explicitly offers tricks or treats. So this has been a long video, and since I don't normally make videos this long, you're probably feeling a bit sleepy. But you really don't want this video to be the highlight of your Halloween, so I urge you to stay awake! After an intro that I can't play because Daft Punk's Harder, Better, Faster, Stronger plays in the background, which is It's perfect. I love that song as it is, and it's so indicative of the era. We're dropped into a monster school. We're this jack-o'-lantern guy. He's at night school, he's tired, and you need to balance him awake with the arrow keys. I love this. It's a single, simple action, but it's genuinely really tricky, especially when they start throwing in things like reversing the controls and flipping the screen. I'm not that good at the game. I'm nowhere near unlocking the other two characters, but this is a fantastic little Halloween time waster. It looks amazing with these big hand-drawn sprites. The animation is smooth. The gameplay is simple but not easy, and I'm so glad that I discovered the works of Coolio Niato through this. Their games are really well made, look great, and they're always fun to play. And that's it for this year. I've never made a Halloween video before, as much as I've wanted to, and I hope that, well, firstly, I hope that this video was released by November the 1st at least. But more than that, I hope you enjoyed it. Light a pumpkin, dance with some penguins, watch a film where somebody gets stabbed, and have a happy, spooky Halloween. Jump scare!